And where are we? 30th of March already. So welcome everyone, members of the public, staff, councillors, members of the press. Shani is just hooking up our live stream system around the world. So welcome to everyone out there in the wherever you may be. Taupō, with a nice bit of pleasant rain for the farmers and business as usual. And the rural representative amongst us is very, very happy. Big smile on her face today. So I think 35 mils, yeah. Yeah, so that's great. Great news, just well needed. Councillor Kingi, I was just wondering if you'd be able to give us a karakia for the day, please. Thank you. Thank you very much, Councillor Kingi. Item number 1, apologies. I don't think there are any. We've got a full house, so great to see. Item 2 is conflicts of interest. Any conflicts of interest pertaining to the items on the agenda today? No, that's great. We'll move on. Item 3.1 is a confirmation of the minutes that were held the ordinary council meeting on the 23rd of February. Those minutes, is there any matters arising from those minutes or any points of clarification of those minutes, please? No, that being the case, could I have a mover for those minutes that they be adopted today? Thank you. Moved by Councillor Leonard, seconded by Councillor Guy. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Carried. 3.2 is the ordinary council meeting minutes on the 9th of March 2021. Any points of clarification of those minutes? No, all very well recorded. So if I could have a mover, please, for that those minutes. Councillor Park, seconded by Councillor Williamson. All those in favour, please say aye. It's against? Carried. 4.1. We have this afternoon adoption of the consultation document for the Waihee Village water and wastewater. Tanya, and just to acknowledge we have some trustees here as well. Peter, nice to see you. And Jenny, is it? And I see Mr. Chair of Tū Wharetaura in the back there, John. Kia ora, John. Welcome. You're most welcome to come up. Guys, good to see you.
Good afternoon, Your Worship. Good afternoon, councillors. So we've got a paper here for the adoption of the consultation document for Waihee Village Water and Wastewater. I am actually going to let Barry speak to this because Barry is the project manager for this project and has done a huge amount of work on this one. So I'm going to let him have the glory.
Thank you very much, Barry. Good to Barry, and nice to have you here with us today. Where have you travelled from?
I was in the whānau for 7 years,
yes.
And I've been working for council for 6 months now. So
right.
I'm an asset manager, been an asset manager most of my working life, so I was asset manager for water, wastewater in the whānau. Very similar issues, similar problems.
Yes.
I retired to Taupo, but it didn't last very long, and I've been enjoying working here. So
very good. Got away from John Carter, eh?
Yes.
Okay, very good one. The floor is yours.
This project's mine. I was handed this project 6 months ago, and just looking through, primarily it's to get potable water to the Waihee village and to treat their wastewater in an appropriate way. I've just introduced the project's done in conjunction with the trustees of the marae, and they're joining us today, so I'll just let them briefly introduce themselves.
Okay, John Bashara, and I'm the chairman of the Waihee Marae Committee and also a trustee of the Waihee Whakaaro Trust.
Kia ora, John.
Yeah, my name is Peter Marty, I'm from the village, where my mum and dad were brought up.
Kia ora, Peter. Nice to have you here. Fine company today, so it's an honour to have you two gentlemen here today, so thank you for coming.
So this is very much a joint project with us in the village. It's not one, they tried installing a water scheme about 10 years ago, and through lack of funding and other difficulties it sort of fell over, and the funding is sort of sitting there with the Ministry of Health, but that's tentative at this stage, and we need to get the project moving, otherwise it's going to fall over. A very interesting little project. There's a lot of quite interesting challenges, and it definitely won't be achieved unless we do it jointly together with the trustees. It's not something the council can just come and do. The next stage in this is formally consulting with the community on about the project. So we've been and had informal hui at the village, told them what the project involves, like it involved. Then we formally consult. The formal consultations also needed to enable council to charge rates on the property. So without that, we can't achieve the rating charge. And we need to get it out then, so if there's any, so we can get the formal feedback on who's supporting and who's opposed and what opposition is, and that would be the next stage to consider the formal feedback. So the paper is essentially requesting approval to go out and consult with the community and to get that formal feedback so we can come back with the results. But if there's any questions about the details about the project, I'm happy to answer them. But,
Cool. Very good. Any questions, councillors? Pretty straightforward. Unless John and Peter have got anything to add. I know Peter's been particularly worked tirelessly on this particular project over the years, and obviously slowly getting to fruition, perhaps. But anything you wanted to add at all, John and Peter?
Oh, thank you, Mayor. Just the piece I would like to add is the input that the District Council has had working with us throughout this whole project, and it's been trying for the District Council officers in the context that my family down at Waihee, they're very private people, and the self-sufficiency has been their mantle for many, many years. And in fact, our grandparents and parents insisted that we remain as one without the influence of the Crown. And we're another generation, and we think that we need to actually be inclusive, you know, as a community and as a village and as a marae. And so we've taken on this responsibility, utilising Peter's facilitation skills and the rest of the families in our ability to work with the council. That's why I say we had a recent meeting, the most recent meeting, and there would have been at least 7 council officers there. So we were really grateful and to have them there to answer questions, and so we're also grateful that we can come here and answer your questions. So yeah, that's my statement there. Thank you.
Good, John. Thank you. Peter, anything?
John's said it all. We're very private down there. We've got some families that want that self-reliability stuff, but it's bigger than that for us. There's 28 properties there with sewage tanks, and you know, our purpose is to look after our environment and our lake, and if we can do it by utilising the resources that are available, then it's good for us and it's good for the community as well.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. Any final Tania to do? So is the process going forward? There's a resolution on the recommendation that we adopt the document for consultation. Any final comments from you?
No final comments from me.
Cool. All right. Thank you very much, team, for coming today, and appreciate your by Councillor Rankin. Thank you very much. Seconded by Councillor Kingi. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies. Very good. Cheers. Right. Item 4.2 is receipt of the draft statement of intent of the council statements of intent for the council-controlled organisation. Jessica Sparks. Good afternoon, Jess. Yeah.
Excellent. Can you all hear me now?
Yes, fire away.
I'll take the paper as read. It's pretty straightforward. This is just for you to accept them and instruct us to do a review, and also for your own review as well. We need to have comment back to the organisations by the 1st of May, so I'll come back to you next month to see if there is any more, any detail that you would like to comment on, going back to those organisations. One thing that I have spoken to Councillor Rankin, Councillor Guy and Councillor Park about is the governance of DGLT and their operations, and having a look at best practice in that CCO now that we have a 50% new board moving forward. So otherwise I'll take it as read.
Very
Any
good.
other
Thank you,
questions?
Jess. Any questions of Jess? No, straightforward. Perfect. There is a resolution there that we received the draft statements of intent, CCOs, and directs to review these documents. Have a mover, please. Thank you, Councillor Park, seconded by Councillor Taylor. All those in favour, please say aye. It's against, carried. Thank you, Jess. 4.3, Council's February performance report. Mr. CEO.
So, Your Worship, I'll put it over to the team to talk through the report, but essentially, as I've put out in the paper there, that obviously we're really busy at the moment as part of the organisation. It's pretty full on. And I guess from an economic perspective, really good indicator that our team is really busy in the area of building consents and resource consents, which is a really good sign for the development of the district. But that, along with obviously a number of inquiries and other projects that got deferred as part of COVID, that's just meant that our team is absolutely run off their feet. They're doing a pretty amazing job to be able to keep up with that, and I've mentioned there in the paper just a few examples that I personally witnessed of the team, and obviously we just had Ironman this weekend, and that was a major for the team to be able to help deliver that and change up the 3 weeks later delivery of that date. But look, it's not just those glory events like that. I mentioned there that 5:45 the day after the Auckland lockdown, the team at the pools were out marking out lanes and marking out what they could do and stuff like that. So it's those unsung things that happen in the background as well are really impressive, and the team just get on and do it. On top of that, Your Worship, we've got some major projects which we're delivering, and those are out in the community at the moment being consulted on. In the report that you'll see follows, we do break it up into those different projects for the first time this time, just so that you can monitor the central government projects, funded projects as well. So happy to provide it or to get any feedback that you may have on that format, but we just thought it was really useful for you to be able to identify out those different projects. And then lastly, I guess is the realignment process that I'm undertaking through the organisation, which is through its process, or working through its process, and obviously very happy to be able to announce 2 new members of the team, of the executive team, joining us shortly, and Andrew Peckham, who will be joining us as the Corporate Services Group Manager, and Julie Gardine, who will be joining us as Deputy Chief Executive. So that's really exciting, but I think I also don't want to lose sight, I guess, of recognising the members of the team who will be departing us and have left us in a really good state. And in particular, I know councillors, you've been invited to the farewell for 4 of those members this afternoon, and so it is the final meeting for Alan, who's in front of you now, for Tina, and Brian and Lisa, who have already departed but are coming back this afternoon. So obviously, personally, I'd like to acknowledge each of those and their contribution to the work that we've done over the last 10 or so years. And we'll acknowledge that in the right way this afternoon.
Cool. Thank you, Alan. Thanks, Mr. CEO, and we look forward to that this afternoon. Alan is looking fresher now than ever, from when you started, Alan.
Yes.
How many years is it, Alan? Sorry?
14 and a half.
14 and a half, wow.
Must be a good 150 council meetings that I've
Yes.
talked to.
Yeah, true. Hey, good to see you, Alan.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you for delivering your last final financial
Thank you.
snapshot.
The performance to the end of February is very similar to that at the end of January. We're running net of the CIP funding still 4 million above what the budgeted surplus was. and the investment performance is very similar. So it's pointless me regurgitating what I said at the February meeting, so happy to answer any questions.
Sure.
Other than that, it is what it is.
Good. Thank you very much, Alan. Any questions of Alan? Councillor Body?
I don't have a question, but since I've been on council for the last 6 years or so, I've had some very meaningful discussions on a number of subjects with Alan, and I'd just like to thank him for answering and helping me through some of those finances. It's been appreciated, Alan, so good luck in your retirement.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Councillor Body. Thanks very much, Alan. We will see you soon. Right, next we have, who have we got next? Oh, it's going to be John or Kevin. Oh, Tina, sorry.
Hi.
Oh, good. Tina. Can you do something? Hi, Tina.
I'm good.
Sorry, Tina.
That's okay. Really not much to report on the democracy and planning area. Budgets are running pretty good, as you can see, and the project updates are there, still tracking along pretty good.
Lovely, Tina.
Thank you.
And it'd be remiss of us to mention it's your final formal
Yep.
council delivery on the subject matter, so thank you so much for everything as well.
Thank you.
And that will be formally recognised shortly, but really, really appreciated all your guidance and help over the years. And the new phones that you've issued me too, from time to time. I've had slight mishaps. Anyway, all the very best, Tina. Right, next one is John, Community
Services, yes. So Brian used to sit here and talk to this one. So as Gareth alluded to, the activity in the consenting side of things is significant and continues to be. We've had to contract out bits and pieces to keep our heads above water. But you know, the team, from what I can see already, is performing pretty well in such a buoyant economy. You'll see in terms of some of our performance standards, we do have a red light there around dog control, and also around building consent applications, and that's because one fails and 100% goes, so that's going to stick with us for the rest of the year. So I'll try my best to answer any questions.
Thank you, John. Any questions of John? No? Facilities? Kevin?
That was quick, so just get my place in the folder here. So what I will do is we'll just quickly go through these. We do cover these every month, but I want to spend a little bit more time at the end of this after the economic development component, just going through those larger projects, which are the government-funded projects. Community facilities, still working on Kuratau, working our way through that. That's the only one that's orange. The only thing to note on there is finally the Great Lake Pathway is off that list. That has been completed. A few real minor things left, but they've had maintenance plans in place now. The handover's been done to all of the teams, so Fraser has completed that project as far as we're concerned, which is good.
Just to interrupt on that,
Yep.
you know, they were putting the non-skid on the wooden part.
That's the only bit that's remaining, and
Yeah,
that
do
took
we
a while.
still have to do that because it's actually come right?
So
It's now non-skid because of the weather. and
yeah,
all
it's
that?
still a little bit slippery in those
is it?
wet conditions, and it's really to do with the winter months when we do come into those and around those frosts.
Right. Okay.
So it's
of course.
thought that it's best to do that, but we always knew that it would mature, and as it opens up, the wood opens up,
Yeah.
it gets a little bit less slippery.
Certainly a
But
lot
we
better
think
than
around
it
that
was.
frost thing, it's probably the best thing to do is to maintain, to
Okay.
have those on. Yep.
Cool. No problems.
So if there's no other questions.
Councillor Truman?
Oh, sorry, yep.
Sorry, just in regards to the Mangakino rugby club rooms, it's saying that its expected completion is end of April. Is it on track, as far as you know?
I think Tina is nodding her head, or
So I think there's going to be some delays. It's probably more into beginning of June, just in terms of getting materials, etc. through.
so through the chair, we are working our way through those that are leaving us those sponsorship roles, and so we'll be allocating those out. Yep. Cool. So just in the water, all the normal compliance things are there with the red lights just showing around the why we need to have membrane plants and why we need to have UV plants going in. The other ones is in particular Acacia Bay water supply. Those that live out that area would have seen a lot of the work that is happening along the straight there, putting in the pipes. And they also, they're doing a good job there. They have put a temporary cycleway, walkway on the other side while they dig up that area as well. So there's no other questions there. I'll move to transport if that's all right.
Just very quickly on the water, obviously they're all red because obviously they're not complying, but has this been going on, it says here 2018, 2019, that was the last time we did a report, was it?
We get audited on those every year.
So how come we're still not compliant?
Because the UV plants and the membrane plants are substantive pieces of work and we haven't had them in an LTP. We've actually been lucky enough to get a lot of government money to do those and we're moving forward on those. So it was a timing issue for us. There was always the affordability under the old bill or the drinking water standards. That no longer will be in place when it comes to the new bill that's going through Parliament right now.
Yep. Yeah, it was just that obviously somebody has obviously been reading this report and contacted me and said, well, is this the last time we actually checked it, if you like? And they were concerned that there was arsenic in the water, etc. But obviously it must be compliant, though, or else we wouldn't be drinking the water.
Yeah, so it's all about risk. So we're providing good quality water, but we haven't got all of the barriers in place in case something really bad happens, and that's what you get marked on. So it's not saying there's bad water at all. In fact, it's really good water. We are monitoring 24/7 on some of our plants, and on the other plants we're doing it more on a daily basis as a requirement to the drinking water standards. So it's a clear distinction there. Is we are providing good quality water. It's the barriers that are in place that might get us in trouble, and that's what the UV provides and the membrane plants provides, is those extra barriers in case we get something in our source water, and our source water is not protected because it is a lake, so we have to have very good barriers in place.
Thank you.
It's been a very conscious decision for elected members over time, and it's not just been one LTP, it's been over a number of cycles. We started with the major population areas, so we did Turangi, Mangakino and Taupō, and spent a lot of money in there, but from an affordability perspective we couldn't do them all in one go, and so that's why it's been a staged program. But the fact that we haven't done them is why we've got the red, which is what Kevin's alluded to.
Yeah. So of our 19 plants, even though we've only done a few of them, complete compliance, we're probably covering 90 to 95% of our population in the public water supplies. Yeah. Transport, it's just really the orange on the LED lights, and again that's dependent on getting those into the country, and it heads up on the wastewater next, but the transports could be in that thing. It's just with that big boat caught in the Suez Canal, we've already been told that some of our stuff is in the line behind it when it comes to the Kinloch treatment plant.
It's on its way.
It's on its way. They're all on its way. So yeah. But no other questions on transport. I'll move on to the wastewater if that's okay. And I just mentioned that for the wastewater treatment plant at Kinloch. But there is we provide an update at every Kinloch residents groups meeting with that particular project because it is high profile and it's right in the middle of town, in the middle of the village. Yeah. No, and then just on, I'm going to do the same thing for solid waste and for stormwater. They're just moving through as per normal, on track, and as you know, Brent runs a pretty tight ship in that area. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you very much, Kevin. Cool. No questions of Kevin? And just endorse what we said earlier about congratulations into your new role as well, Kevin. So,
yep. Thank you very much.
Well done.
From behind me, I'm getting some instructions that no one wants to speak to the economic development part. Okay, come on.
Yeah, John, what's our GDP for the last month? Hey, you don't know?
No, I don't have that on my tongue, I'm afraid.
No,
just one thing, I suppose, Steve's involved with the regional events fund, which is a government fund to stimulate the events industry. So he's sitting on that. So we've had a lot of applications locally for that. The outcomes of that should come through fairly soon, and I guess it's about ensuring stimulating that events industry because we've lost so much. And just reinforcing what Jess was saying around the SOIs, our economic development portfolio holder elected members. That's a new phrase. I'm not sure it's in the right order, but we've talked quite a bit around accountability and ensuring that those SOIs reflect both the strategic direction, for instance, the airport. So there's some tweaks in that which we've made to reflect that strategic direction, particularly around the master plan, but also that accountability with the other two, DGLT and EGLT. So there's a few little tweaks in those SOIs which obviously you've adopted now, but I just wanted to sort of reinforce that. I guess that's all I've got on ED.
Very good. Thank you, John. Any questions, John? No? Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you, managers and Mr. CEO. Oh, was there one more? Oh, sorry. Treasury, is it? No?
Past the Treasury, yeah. Page 70.
Whatever it is, come forward.
Yeah, so through the chair, I'll just...
Projects.
I
really need to...
It's page 70 on your diligent. There, we just want to run through all of the government money that we have been provided to make sure that we have to report to them, very detailed reports back through to them. And some of this is so we don't have to create a new report file. This is good enough for what they have requested, and a lot more detail behind certain parts of it. But so the first one there is really town centre Taupō transformation. The details there we have been up in front of you before. We will be running a workshop, particularly around the overall traffic realignment and the traffic realignment in particular, to make sure that people understand the different treatment options that we have selected for each of the intersections with a bit more detail around those. Yeah, the 20.6, it's working. We're moving through that reasonably well, and as I mentioned this morning, there was a good meeting with Town Centre Taupō on last Thursday. Cool. So the next page there is the shared paths and curb and channel Turangi Street revitalisation. So we have been working behind closed doors, just working our way through the nuts and bolts of getting the prices through from our contractor on that, working through letting a contract for the removal of the trees in particular, working hard on comms plans. We've had one project meeting. We've invited Clint to be on the project team as the chair of the board down there, and we will report each time to the community board as well, every time they have a meeting on an update on that. And any special meetings that we will need extra, we will put in there as well. But it's a lot of the background stuff around this project and making sure we get all our ducks aligned in this space. So nothing's hit the ground yet. There's a little bit of dazzle on the ground, which created a little bit of excitement in town, I think. But that's just us marking up a few things before we do start. Any questions on that one? Thanks. Yep. Next one. Taupō Airport upgrade. Maybe Gareth can talk to this one. I'm on the steering group, but things are going through there really well, and they've just about to sign off for the builder as such, contractors. Yeah.
Okay. So sign off who's going to be selected as the tender?
Correct. So so they're shortlisting at the moment down to a couple of potential constructors, and then the next stage is the pricing of that.
And the last piece there is the 9 different projects which are part of the $8.3 million which we've got for the water reform for tranche 1 money. And it runs through the 9 different projects. We've had them up in front of you before, but this is a way of just reporting through that we have to do for DIA anyway in this space. We had a gentleman from DIA come and visit us. He's got 10 councils that he's looking after in the Waikato and the Bay of Plenty area. He clearly said to us we were the most advanced of his crew, and he said he didn't stop there. He said we're probably the most advanced in New Zealand, actually moving our way through this, and that's because we needed to be. We need to get these contractors before all this other money starts rolling through. Just a bit of background on those things there. What we weren't allowed to do is we weren't allowed to take things from the LTP year 1 and year 2. So these things weren't that well formed relative because of they were in our year 3, 4 and 5. But the team did really, really well to bring those forward, to have a look at them, to scope them up, and we didn't get it perfect, and we will be doing some reallocation amongst that $8.3 million. But the things that we have covered there around the wastewater overflow reduction, the SCADA telemetry upgrades, the I&I work and drinking water standards upgrades with UV, all the way through to downstream defenders. All of those things are things that we could move on quickly because we'd had a water strategy through Tūwharetoa. We knew what our community thought about the wastewater overflows. So we just progressed all of those things and took Tūwharetoa on the journey with what we wanted to do in line with what they wanted to do as well. So it's not like a lot of other councils are concentrating on marae reticulation and other things like that. We thought that would be quite fraught with delivery in particular around those, and we're a little bit different here where we do have 19 water supplies, and most other councils don't have that kind of coverage of their districts like we do. So if there's nothing else, it's just an update on that, and we will provide that update every month. And the team are doing really well in there, really well led by the program manager, and Pinnell's doing a lot of good work in this space.
Thanks, Kevin. Any questions given, Councillor Body?
If I may, strong with number 8 in regards of the Napier Taupo or the Napier Road Caravan dump site. Awaiting concept design to confirm and start the tender process. Have any of the Caravan Association people been involved? Because one of the greatest difficulties that's had is dump stations that haven't been put in the ground correctly, cause all sorts of problems.
Yeah, so the team have been discussing with them. I wouldn't say everyone's 100% happy, but we've certainly been discussing with them, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, just to follow up on that, the sponsor for that particular project, or who would be the staff member looking after that project there, because I've just had a call from the adjacent owner or the new purchaser of Stag Park. Just wanted to have a look at the plans, that's all.
Actually, a gentleman that's just left last Friday.
Oh.
So we're just, if you go through Pinnell, so go through
Okay,
Pinnell, and we're reallocating those right now. Yep.
Cool.
So Graham Jackson, I don't know if you're aware, but he left last Friday. So yeah.
Okay. No. Thanks, Kevin. Thank you very much, Kevin. No other question. Oh, Councillor Mack has got one little.
A little question. So with the curbing and channeling, obviously it says that it was going to start in mid-March. I'm guessing it hasn't started yet.
Yeah, so sorry, that's it's been a little bit out of date. We wanted to get it in front of the board first and make sure we dot all our I's and cross our T's, knowing that Easter's coming up. It's likely to be towards the mid to late April before we'll be commencing, yes.
And that was the next question, actually. So each time you're doing a phase, you'll come back and report to the board?
Absolutely. So at the moment, we've only got approval for phase 1. And so we're operationalising that, and it'll be an information sharing piece at the next community board meeting around that. But what we will be doing is, over time, bringing you the future stages and what they mean, yes.
And as you know, with the community side of it, the trees that are going to be replanted, is that part of what you will come back to us with as well?
Yeah, so through the chair, we've done a lot of work on those planting schemes, and we've got something to produce to talk around the engagement that we're doing with each of the blocks in each of those areas and the choices that they have around their trees. We're actually putting a survey out, so this is going to be a lot of work and a lot of information sharing in that first community board meeting, and a lot of stuff that will go through Clint to pass on to you guys as well in that space. The clear thing that we're wanting from the community board in particular is some guidance on what we're doing with the wood, because that is a gap in our communications plan at the moment, is around those stories. So we'll be in contact around those.
Cool. Yep. Because as you know, phase 1 is the important bit for us. Absolutely. Obviously, how that goes is how it's going to be for the next 4. Yeah. It's just really important. I'm not on the steering group, but obviously, I really want to be involved in how this is going to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Thanks.
Cool. Thank you, Councillor Mack. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate your report today. Thank you, Mr. CEO, for the ongoing work. Okay, there's a recommendation up there that we receive the information. Did I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Taylor, seconded by Councillor Williamson. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Carried. Okay, next item, Deputy Mayor, do you mind, are you okay? You could run it from there. Let's just have to excuse me. I've got to go.
Sorry about that.
Those on the internet will be
Very pleased. Thank you. Yeah, got a scold. Thank you. Okay, we've got engagements next, have we, for the next month? Okay.
Yeah, nothing to add to those at the moment. Take the item as read.
Thank you. Okay, any questions? Surely, yes, Tina. We don't want you to go away unscathed. No. Great. Would someone like to to move that we receive that information? Anna, thank you. And Councillor Truman, thank you very much. Members' reports. Does anyone have anything that they would like to share? You're all very quiet today. Oh no, Councillor Taylor.
So just Thursday we have a Board Advisory Council meeting that I'll be attending, but not so much a report. I just want to personally thank the senior staff that are leaving, Tina, Alan, and Brian, and Lisa, who have already left, for their work. From my perspective, being a first-term councillor, I have really appreciated the effort and time that you've given me. Some of the questions you've answered, dumb or otherwise, appreciate it. Just want to wish you all the best. So thank you.
Yeah. Yes, we all agree, and thank you, Councillor Taylor. Okay, would someone like to move that the council receives the reports from members? Tonga. Councillor Kingy, thank you very much, and Councillor Mack. Okay, and now we are going to move into confidential. Thank you, Councillor Park.